Hi, everybody, and welcome to this Bulls Update. My name is Paul Peck, and I'm joined by Bulls offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Andy Kotelnicki to get a little update on how his squad is doing about halfway through spring practice here for the Bulls. That wraps up next Saturday, a week from Saturday, with the blue-white game at UB Stadium. All right, let's give me a sense of just overall, where's your offense right now midway through spring practice?
Well, Paul, we're progressing. Starting spring, we had the goals of developing and understanding what we're trying to do in offense, showing the ability to execute it, and really increasing our physicality and toughness. Grit is the word I like to use with our guys within our offense, and that's happening. As we've gone through 9 practices now, you're starting to see that. You're starting to see individual efforts start to shine. You're starting to see guys wanting to finish blocks. You're starting to see guys really understanding. Maybe the route's supposed to be ran this way. The track that I'm on and to take a handoff is ran this way. And so we're progressing along. We're moving along. Like we talked before, we're never satisfied. We always are trying to get 1% better every day, but our guys we're moving along. We're in the right direction. Right.
Well, obviously the challenge that you have as the offensive coordinator this year is you've got to find a new quarterback, and you've got 3 guys competing for it. We've talked an awful lot about all 3 of them: Grant Rohach, Chris Merchant, Tyree Jackson. My question to you is, give us a sense on how the progression is going, because all 3 of those guys are kind of coming from different places. And then where do you want to see the progression from each of those 3 guys by the time spring practice ends? What do you want to see out of them that maybe you didn't see when this started 2 weeks ago?
Right. Well, not too dissimilar from what we want just from an offense as a whole. Is we want to see a guy who understands what we're trying to do, 1. 2, has the ability to execute what we're doing. And then 3, for that position, has the ability to lead his guys. And from an offensive standpoint, our philosophy is really whatever you're doing on offense schematically really needs to be revolved around, first, the guy who's taking the snap, and then second, the 5 guys who are blocking for him. And so we have some new bodies at all 6 of those spots.
Right.
And there's a growth that needs to happen throughout the spring that is happening. And so what I'm looking for, and I talk to quarterbacks all the time, is day 1 of spring football, we call this play, we call this route, we call this check, whatever it might be. Are you doing it? Are you doing it correctly? If you didn't do it correctly, are you learning from your mistake? I'm a huge believer that I think every player in football in almost every position really needs to learn by making a mistake first. And so how we practice, we get a lot of reps in practice. It's really good for those guys to come in, make a play, see where they made an error, correct it, be able to rep it again the next day, and understand, get locked in the brain that, hey, this is how it's done. That's why I need to read it this way, or I need to check the play this way.
Right. I think the one thing that fans will notice when they come to the blue-white game, when they're going to be watching quarterbacks, because all fans always do, is a lot more running with the quarterbacks, much as is the trend in college football now. A lot of read option. I've seen some true option run by you guys in practice. It's a little bit of a different element of the offense than we've seen here before. Why do you like it? Why do you think it's going to help achieve success?
Well, like we said, first of all, you kind of have to center your offensive schemes around the guy who's taking the snap. And we're pretty blessed right now that we got pretty athletic quarterbacks that are taking snaps. They all can run. They're all pretty fast. But really, the genesis of the discussion to have those guys run the ball a little bit more is you have to run the ball to be successful as a football program. And we want to increase our ability and production in the running game. Does that mean that the quarterback's going to carry the ball 30 times a game? No, probably not, because we got pretty good running backs that we've got to be able to give the ball to as well. But just enough. If it's 3 times a game, if it keeps the defensive end honest, if it puts a little indecision in the heads of outside linebackers or inside linebackers or down linemen of what am I doing on this play? Am I being read? Am I pitch key, or what am I? I think that slows defensive players down and allows us to run the ball a little bit better.
Well, you talk about your running backs, and you've got a pretty good one coming back, and even in spring practice, you can kind of see the confidence that Jordan Johnson has, that he runs with, the opportunity to be the starter for the first time in his career. Western New York fans have been watching him since high school. Tell me a little bit about what you think you can achieve with Jordan maybe getting the bulk of those carries this year.
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. We thought he was a super efficient back last fall, and we had a kind of a tandem with him and Anthony. Now the spotlight, as you pointed out, has really kind of been focused on him. What we've gotten excited about this spring is he's really embraced that, and not in a negative way, but in the sense of, okay, I'm gonna, he's starting to be more of a vocal leader than he has in the past. He's starting to know why he's gonna finish runs. He's really starting to pay attention to a lot of his detail in whatever it might be, run tracks or pass protection schemes, whatever it might be. You can see him really starting to embrace that. It's my time. It's my time to shine. This is my interview, right? Okay, we're gonna see from him next fall. But we think that we have a very dependable back. He's a physical runner, but the one thing that surprises you with him, when you watch him, he can be very elusive as well. And so he can really be the total package for us.
All right, let's talk a little bit about about the weapons in the passing game. You've got some key guys that are not going to come, not back here again from last year, so there'll be different guys that are going to step up. Talk a little bit about some of those names that are going to be keys in your passing game at both receiver and tight end.
Well, we'll start with the tight ends. Mason Schreck was one of the first names that'll pop in my head. He played quite a bit for us last year. Certainly him and Matt Weiser were two of our better players on offense. With the departure of Matt, now Mason, just like we talked about with Jordan, is kind of coming to a spotlight role, and he has as well embraced the leadership that he needs to have as a senior in the team. He's embraced the work ethic and the detail involved to being an elite player in the league. On the perimeter, you're looking at a couple guys. Last year Marcus McGill, I think, was our second or third leading guy in catches. He'll coming back. He's having a really nice spring as well. Really embraced the things that we've asked him to work on in the offseason. You're going to see Colin Lisa, who had multiple catches last year, has done a great job this spring. And then behind, there's a lot of guys that right now we're looking for in the receiver position that really look for people to kind of separate themselves. If you go out and watch practice one day, you might say, Malcolm Robinson, he's better than Marcus McGill. Then the day it might be different. So all those receivers right now in heavy competition, just like our quarterback spot, to really see who's going to stick out moving forward.
All right, well, we're looking forward to the spring game. Not only see a little bit of the new offense, but to see some of the new faces. Always an exciting time of the year. And then you'll have a couple of months to figure out what it's going to be, what that depth chart's going to look like. I know it's going to be an interesting couple of months for you. Andy, always good to catch up.
Thanks, Paul.
Andy Kotelnicki is the Bulls offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. We want to thank him, and we thank you for joining us for this Bulls Update.